right, it's the day after the expo, and today I have a special guest coming to see me by the house is Rich Klein of Trail Hero. And most of you either know about Rich or maybe you don't know a lot about Rich, and we're going to ask him a whole bunch of questions today. If you don't know a lot about him, hopefully we'll give you a chance to know a little bit more about him, his background, and what he's got going on in the future, along with all of his various Trail Hero projects.
Yeah, I'm excited. Everything goes well.
So stay tuned, and Rich should be here any minute. We'll get going.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, welcome. This is the next episode of our YouTube podcast, American Made Rock Crawler, and today I have a very special guest, Rich Klein with Trail Hero. At least that's where most people recognize him from. We're going to get to know a little bit about Rich and where he came from, what he's been up to, and what he's got going on coming forward. Good morning. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Cool. So I know you from, so when I first met you, I think, at least from what I recall, because it's been 10 or 11 years, but when I first met you, I think I met you at the end of the week party at the little barbecue. I think it was over maybe in the park or somewhere. Or I don't remember where it was, but it was one of the, I think it was the first Trail Hero, because we had gone down to check it out because we knew about it. And then I remember shortly after that I had sent you either you had sent me some information about something that was going on after that. It was.
Yeah, kind of like the vendor show wrap-up thing that we did downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you sent me something about getting involved and you were doing the Hero for Days. So this was a couple months after that, because I met you there. I talked to you briefly. Good conversation, but it wasn't super long, but got to know you a little bit. And then you had talked about getting involved with trail guiding, because I didn't actually help out the first one. I had just attended that first event. And so then we ended up helping you out a couple of events.
Yeah.
And I remember, one of the things I distinctly remember, because I remember you had asked me to guide a bunch of trails if I was interested in it. And some of them I'd never even driven them before. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. We could do that.
Yeah.
So we made it a point to go down that summer and drive those trails before we ended up guiding them. And it all worked out. But anyway, that's kind of my story as far as I remember meeting him.
Well, I think along this process you find really cool, like-minded individuals that you tend to put your faith into. Mm-hmm. And especially when you have a really large project like Trail Hero, and when you're trying to establish, that first one we went to, that was supposed to be the only one. Mm-hmm. And we didn't plan to do a year 2 or 3, and by all means we didn't have any plans to do year 10 we just wrapped up, right? The whole goal was just save the mountain. And while we were trying to save the mountain, we figured out that the narrative of our industry needed to be refined, right? So off-roading in general has always kind of been a generational thing, right? My grandfather did it, my dad did it, I do it, and I want my grandkids and their grandkids and so on to be able to continue. And over that period of time, you realize that the only people that care about your kids are you and other like-minded individuals, right? Nobody on the other side of the alleyway there, or the aisle. And so, when you look at how to get everyone involved with being okay for motorized access, and you start to dig in and find that there is a large group of people who need motorized access to experience the outdoors. It's no longer a generational thing. It's now, without this motorized access, these people will never get a chance to go experience the outdoors. And they can't go for a hike, they can't ride a bike, they can't jump on a horse. They have to have motorized access, however that is, to have that same therapeutic benefits that the outdoors gives. And so when we realized, like, year 1 we didn't quite save the mountain, we honestly didn't really save it until, from all said and done, until about year 7. But from the developer, that was the first hurdle. About year 3 we had things kind of squashed. And
yeah, I remember going through all that.
And we realized, though, that we we had a great thing going for the industry, not just with the event itself, but the narrative that stood and kind of bolstered the event and the why we were actually doing this, and people on both sides of the aisle could look at it and go, it's absolutely fair that everyone has equal access to things. And when you keep that in mind, motorized access therefore is necessary to a large amount of individuals. And even though I may look able-bodied, people don't realize I have disabilities. I've got a blown out knee, blown out ankle, blown out back, and I look just fine. There's a whole group of people that have cognitive disabilities that look just great, and physical disabilities, however they came, whether it's by serving the country or something more like mine, where it's football injuries and whatever. They are disabilities, and we still have the same rights to that public land as anybody else. And so that was, my thought was, okay, for instance, American Fork Canyon had always kind of been in contention, and I knew that you knew the area well after talking to you. And I part of this journey is putting your faith in people and going, hopefully it pans out,
Right. We're just
And
gonna take
it
the
was
gamble.
really cool to be able to put our faith in you with one of our first Hero for a Day trail rides that was oriented around physical and cognitive disabilities and getting motorized access to the outdoors. And we did that not in our hometown. We did that, 4 hours away
Right.
with you. And you were kind of the driving force behind that. And it was really cool to have that pan out and work. And it kind of showed us, okay, there's a need for this in the area,
Yeah.
not just in my hometown, but everyone's hometown. And when you look at that, you go, every trail has everyone has the opportunity and the right to experience every trail out there, every inch of land. And some are designated certain ways, and we understand that. And so it's, bike only or hiking only, and we respect that. But to close down trails is wrong. And and those roads are established. They've been there for 100 plus years. There's no reason to close those down to people, all because they didn't realize that they were giving up their rights when they voted a certain way and supported a certain candidate, and then that candidate supported some land use agency just for the idea of saving the world, when, by gosh, if somebody wants to save the world, go do it in Ukraine or Mexico or somewhere else. So we're just fine here. And all you're doing is stripping rights away from Americans that need to be able to have that therapeutic benefit of nature. And it was really cool to have you part of that process right from the beginning. And it's why we enjoy working with you today.
Well, touching on that subject, because there's the land uses that a lot of people, if you're from southern Utah, hopefully you're familiar with a lot of the challenges that have gone on down there. And then if you're from up here, you're maybe familiar. One of the things that we dealt with in American Fork Canyon was, I grew up maybe a few miles south from there, and right by the mouth of Provo Canyon. And so we could go along the hills and go up American Fork or Provo Canyon. And Provo Canyon has kind of gotten further ahead commercial, but American Fork Canyon has always been that little jewel, that little place where you could still escape in the outdoors.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we've had companies come in, ski resorts from up so north, that have decided to go over the hill and come down and develop. Now, I'm not opposed to different activities, and I'm not opposed to skiing necessarily, but when they decided that they wanted to close off historical trails and access so that people could ski, but then not let us use those historical trails during the summer, that became a contention.
Sure.
And so that was something that's always been continuous. And so that whole spirit of keeping those trails open was always it's something that lured me to Trail Hero for sure, and what you guys were doing.
Well, you have to be really able-bodied to go experience those areas. You have to be able to ski or snowboard, and not everyone can do that, right?
And going down into Mineral Basin where they're putting those lifts, that's not just for like the beginners or the intermediate. That's like for advanced skiers.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to lose access to, that land, it really sucks. Mineral Basin's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's where we went for that ride. And the fact that you're completely away from civilization and disconnected, there's no cell service, there's nothing out there except you and nature, and you know what, there's a established road right to that spot, so that if you know how to get there,
Yeah.
you get to experience it. And to have that stripped away, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. Luckily, I feel like since we've really put a good fight at keeping that open, as far as since we did that event all those years back, I don't feel like we've lost much. There's a little bit of at the top where some of the mine tailings are and stuff like that, which I'm okay with closing access around mine tailings that could possibly
Dangerous. Right?
dangerous.
Yeah.
We don't need people going in. There's so many mines up there that are left over from the 1800s that it's not safe. So I'm okay with that. But luckily you can still go up for the most part all the way to almost to the top of Mineral Basin just before you get to the ski lift. So it's still pretty nice. But
Yeah.
so we're going to talk more about, I'd like to hear some more about the new projects that you've done in the last year with Trail Hero and going forward. But I do have a couple of questions about you yourself. Like, I know I was telling about how I grew up up by Provo Canyon. Where did you grow up at?
Kind of all over. So I was born and raised in Northern California, but about before eighth grade, we moved to Cedar City.
Okay.
And so my hometown trail has always been the Rubicon. That's literally the trail that I grew up on. And my first rollover was at 2 years old. My dad was a terrible driver, and I've been hooked ever since. So
Nice.
no, he's a great driver actually, but that was my hometown trail, and I did get in a rollover at 2 years old. I wasn't driving, obviously. So loved the Rubicon, but as I became a young man, kind of growing up in Cedar City, the wheeling spot out there, the one that everyone knows, is Three Peaks.
Yeah.
And my dad was at one point president of the Color Country Four Wheelers, and which is an off-road club. And he helped open Three Peaks as a county park, so anybody can go off-roading. And in doing so, he also brought competition rock crawling into the area with ARCA, which was American Rock Crawlers Association at the time, and Ranch Pratt. And so, I think that was somewhere around 98 or 99. And eventually that kind of tied to the competition side of the industry, where people are testing products and rolling over and breaking things. And
Right.
it's kind of a crash course of what Jeepers go through in a lifetime of Jeeping. Well, we test all of that in 90 minutes in one weekend. And as far as competition rock crawling is concerned. So that's kind of where I got my start in the industry, in all honesty. Eventually that turned into me designing parts, me owning my own competition rock crawling series called We Rock. And I've, at this point I've got 26 active patents that are licensed or were purchased, and then those parts mass produced for the industry.
Nice.
So everything from wheels and shock designs and chassis and whatever. I mean, it's just kind of a lot of different parts that I've had a major role in either designing or completely engineering, and pretty excited about that, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
That's kind of where a lot of people, they probably know me more from the Trail Hero side of things, and that's within the last 10 years. A lot of people don't realize I've been in the industry since '98.
Right.
I owned my own rock crawling company,
Right.
that was doing rock crawling events internationally. At one point we were hosting rock crawling events in 13 different countries. I built the sanctioning body for that. I wrote the entire rule book for the sport. I wrote rule books for desert racing and King of the Hammers and all of that.
Wow.
You know, and at the same time, I've raced and won the Baja 1000, and I've raced King of the Hammers itself, and I mean, I kind of just do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I've always played behind the scenes, and so Trail Hero, when I came on with that, a lot of new people were in the industry, didn't know who I was, or they were, you know, just regular Jeepers, and they're not really privy to the competition side of things,
Sure.
and so, or the engineering side of things, so they didn't know who I was either, and that's perfectly fine. I'm just another guy.
Right.
But ultimately, there was a lot of people that go, well, where is this guy coming from? How did he overnight have this success with Trail Hero? And
Right.
and what it is it's 2 decades of, you know, building a resume and doing a lot of free stuff for people and taking those favors and putting them in my backpack and one day calling in all my favors.
There you go.
And telling those people, like, I'm doing this for free. I'm not here to ask for anything in return, but one day I'm going to call in my favor, and you better answer the phone.
Right.
And that day came when I started Trail Hero, and everyone answered the phone, and that's how we had overnight success, if you want to call it that. And then, you know, I at one point, let's say we're going to kind of rewind. I get done with about halfway through my junior year. I moved back to Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
Finish out high school in my hometown, eventually go into college, do my thing, and you know, start We Rock and all that stuff. And ultimately, at one point, it was like 2011. I had already done and been successful in Baja, done King of the Hammers. Most of my patents were about half of them were about then, and then I decided, you know, I'm kind of burnt out. I sold everything, moved to Alaska, and focused on my family and myself.
Nice.
Kind of personal development, and got heavy into the oil and gas industry. And so that was where I learned a little bit different business acumen and how to apply all the redneck engineering I found along the way
Uh-huh.
into a totally different industry that I had no clue if I was going to do well in. And that sense of urgency when you change industries, you don't just change like a job, you're changing an entire career path. And you're starting completely over. It's terrifying. And
I know the feeling.
yeah, and I'm moving to an area that, you know, I don't know anyone there. I've never met anyone in the industry. I'm just hoping that I can make something of myself. You learn along the way that it's not that bad. And so when you go to other facets of business and you need to make changes, say for instance like this year's Trail Hero event, we made a major change out of the park and into the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
It's terrifying for a lot of reasons, but at the same time you're like, you know, I've made changes before in my life and it turned out okay.
Yeah.
You know, and it will be okay. And as long as you just, I mean, you kind of have to commit. You jump in with both feet. You can't dip a toe in the water. But when you commit, you find results. And it's because that sense of terrifying feel that forces you to do something great with it.
That's kind of, and that's why that's where I feel like I'm kind of at myself in my life right now. I've been in the, you know, I've been a professional chef and I've done everything from competitions to opening restaurants in Las Vegas and Park City, and I helped open up the Tuacahn down there when they did their food service operations, and I just decided to do something different. So it's changing careers is very scary, and but I agree there's a lot to that. If you want to succeed, then you have to have that no-fail type attitude where you're not going to let yourself fail.
Well, you know, there's a sense of commitment that comes with this, and I've heard it 100 times. You always hear it on some, you know, bullshit, excuse my language, social media platform that's like, do what the Vikings did and burn the boats. And there's a story behind that, right?
Right.
The Vikings would pull up to a new land, and instead of tying up the boats and having them there for when they were done or when they needed to retreat, they burnt the boats down, they deconstructed them, they made, you know, camp and tools and weapons out of it, and then they went and waged war, and they
Yeah.
had no choice but to win because they didn't have a way out.
Yeah.
And that led to a wild amount of success for them. And so that notion of burning the boats, that's a mentality that you almost have to take, because it's, you know, jumping in with both feet. It's just doing whatever it takes to win, obviously on a moral scale as well, but
Sure.
whatever it takes to win. You're not quite a Viking. You don't have to kill people and plunder to succeed, but you know, you have to commit. And the only
Yeah.
way you're going to commit is if there's not a plan B,
Yeah.
right? So I think what you're doing is great. I love the format. I'm really excited to see where you go with it.
Yeah, you know, I'm doing it, and it's, you know, I want to be successful in what I'm doing. I have some other things planned, but in order to help fund things, because obviously
Yeah.
it's not a lucrative thing at the moment, and I'm okay with that because I'm passionate about the content and I'm passionate about talking with people that I've wanted to have conversation with and maybe haven't had a conversation with. Or like for you, for example, like I know certain things about you. Like I knew about you being from California and the Rubicon. I didn't know about moving to Cedar City. I did know a little bit about WeWalk. I didn't know about all these patents you had. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of putting all these things together for me. So getting to meet people and whether how much I know them,
Sure.
it's kind of helping get to know them better is fun. And you know, and at the same time promoting things that I'm passionate about, because ever since I've built stuff, and you know, I learned very quickly because of the way that I like to drive and play, that durability is important. And people that have small companies, innovative companies, usually American-made products, honestly, are the things. I mean, there are some products out there that I've used, like ARB, obviously, I wouldn't consider them American, but for the most part, I feel like American-made products and the smaller companies, and guys like yourself that come up with patents and innovative ideas, these are where some of the greatest things come to the sport. And so I've always been passionate about those things, but I've also known that you got to go out and seek out some of those things. You don't always see those, like these places don't have $1 million budgets, and you can't always find. So you used to be able to find them like Peterson's Off-Road sometimes, or Off-Road Magazine, or Crawl Magazine. You find stuff like that. The publication has kind of changed.
Sure.
And so I'm hoping this will kind of fill some of that niche. And
Yeah, well, you know,
do some of that.
it's one of those ideas where I think we all understand the value of podcasts at this point, and after watching presidents do really well based off of podcast interviews and whatnot, and you know, I look at it and go that media changes, right? And so the number one source of media for my grandfather was the newspaper.
Yeah.
And eventually the TV, right? For my dad was magazines, and to be honest, my kids will probably never understand what a newspaper is. My grandkids will never understand what a magazine is.
Yeah.
That media source is developing and changing, and I think podcast is part of that journey, right?
Yeah.
But it's wild when you think about like the pivot. What you're doing is a pivot. You're moving from the food industry and moving into this role, and doing it with the right reasons. And as long as you've got that in mind, you'll always succeed. People will always support you, and they'll always help you fuel your passion. And I look at, like with Trail Hero, you know, when the whole thing about living in Cedar City kind of made me aware of what was down here. We used to go to the Hurricane Sand Dunes and hit on chicks from Hurricane High School at the sand dunes to hang out, you know, and that was like the thing. There was no lake, there was no resort, there were no houses.
Yeah, so
We'd meet at Walmart, drive across the street onto a dirt road, and get out to the dunes.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's, you look at that, and obviously the whole area's pivoted to this bigger development, and we kind of all saw it coming. But you know, everything in life kind of moves in the path of least resistance, you know.
Yeah.
And if you embrace that and you consider, like, there's a lot of opportunity out there that a lot of people don't see. You just have to be a little observant, and you go, holy smokes, there's this opportunity for us. With Trail Hero, it was okay. The mountain's going to get shut down, and currently at the time, there was an event that is wildly successful with Winter 4x4, but they were really excited about having 700 signatures to save the mountain. And in all honesty, yeah, that's great, but that's not going to do much, right?
Yeah.
The only people, again, that care are the people on your side of the aisle.
Yeah.
How do you get everyone fighting for you?
Yeah.
And what we found was economic impact, right? So we're going to host this event. I'm going to call in all my favors. I'm going to try to save the mountain. But we have to get the community involved. If we don't, it's all for naught. So what are we going to do? We're going to station it downtown Hurricane instead of out at the fairgrounds. Originally, that's where Trail Hero was.
Yeah,
right?
I remember.
All of our trails are going to leave from different businesses in town, so that it promoted the idea of going in and spending a little money, fueling up, getting supplies for the day, whatever. On top of that, we're going to have community outreach programs. We're going to get kids involved that are special needs. We're going to get adults that are special needs involved. We're going to get veterans involved. So if you're taking the mountain away from us, it's not just us. You're taking the mountain away from all these other user groups. And you're taking now the funding that these businesses get off of the event and the mountain, you're taking that away from them as well. And that is when the entire city will start fighting for you as well. And that was our outlook, was we have to be more inclusive with the event. We have to give back. When I was doing We Rock, it's a competition rock crawling series, and it's 13 events, East Coast, West Coast, Central, and a Maine National Championship. And because there's so many events, you end up traveling from one town to the next every week to 2 weeks, and you're stacked. And you don't have time to build a lot of relationships. In fact, most of the time you end up burning them. Unfortunately, and there's no way to give back to the community because there's just not enough time to do it. And that's one reason why I said, okay, we're only going to focus on one event, and all we're going to do is give as much as we can.
Yeah.
And we're not a nonprofit. I've been very upfront about that since the beginning, but the only reason why we're not a nonprofit is because we have competitions at the event as well, so that everyone in the industry is welcome at one place.
Yeah.
So those competitions have, entry fees and purse considerations, and those two things are what automatically put us as a for-profit. Yeah. And you can't do both. And so, we started out as a for-profit, we're still a for-profit, but we give heavily. For instance, charitable proceeds in 2025 right now are at $220,000.
Wow.
It's insane what we're doing with the veteran community specifically. And so, there's not another off-road event that I know that does that kind of charitable proceed. At the same time, I look at, we don't donate to just anybody. So we donate to those who impact the event and work for it as well. So, Four Wheel to Heal comes out. They bring a bunch of veterans with them, and they experience the event. And these veterans come from all over the country, and they bring them. And so, therefore, we give them a huge donation every year. We develop charitable events around their needs, and then we work with them on it, and they help us do that. Same thing with racing anxiety and our raffle, right? And so, they conduct the raffle, we give them parts for that raffle, we have them sell tickets, and it works. And they are able to pull a large donation out of that. And that's what it's all about. I don't want to donate for the sake of donating. If I'm going to do that, it's going to be to the individual. It's going to be to the veteran himself or herself, right? Mm-hmm. Not to just a conglomerate that's going to use it to pay a CEO $1 million to do whatever. I'm not interested. So we donate heavily because we want to, not because we have to. Right? Sure. It's not part of our bylaws. It's not, mandated by the government that we spend at least 18% on anything. We're donating a ton, and it's because we want to do it.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I am a firm believer at this point that if Trail Hero wasn't donating, they would still be successful. And that's just my opinion. But I also think there's a lot to be said for the way that you're doing it. And I think that a lot of people do misconstrue something. They don't understand the difference between profit and nonprofit. And I have had people ask me, friends and people who have gone on trail rides when I've been guiding trails at Trail Hero. And I don't know all of that. I know more as you explain more. But I always kind of keep my ear to the ground to what's going on. And I've always known that Trail Hero does so many good things as I've seen it firsthand. And that's why I always tell people, like, I don't have to know every dollar that he spends or what he does with it. But what I do know is there's been a very positive impact on the community, the Wheeling community, the veterans community, the special needs community.
Right.
There's a lot of communities, the whole community in southern Utah that lives in Washington County that benefits from the economy that comes in for these things. Like, there's a lot of people benefiting. We don't have to talk about it all. That's what I always tell people. I said, but I just know that it's there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel good about supporting things like that.
Well, and it's important, right? So when I first moved to southern Utah, there was one off-road shop, and that's Dixie 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
There's one club with about 35 people in it, and that's it. You know, now there's over 22 off-road shops. I actually, on my phone, I think I counted 26. I started piling them up. That same club that had whatever 30 plus people in it now has over 450 members.
Nice.
There's several other clubs that are out there,
Yeah.
and then a ton of people that are not in clubs at all. And
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that the wheeling community has exploded in southern Utah, and I feel like we've helped put Sand Hollow on the map, and I feel like we are part of the reason as to why it has. There's obviously other circumstances, other people that have contributed to that and contributed to the mountain, helped keep it open. And all those efforts are needed, right? There should be no reason to vilify a company or a person because they are for profit. When you look at every company is for profit. It just so happens that there's some nonprofits out there that host events, and that's needed. They do a lot for the mountain. They do a lot for our industry as a whole, and specifically for Utah. And I think that that's great. But there's room for everything. And I look at what we've built, and I look at it and go, with a nonprofit, there's a lot of these great things that happen, but it's also very cumbersome. You have committees and lots of people that have a say, and when I need something done, as whether I'm a business or a participant or a volunteer or somebody just wanting to benefit from what's happening, public interest, there's a lot of hurdles in the way because there's a lot of hands in the pot, and a lot of people have a feeling that they have a say in the matter. And so it may take 6 meetings to figure out the color of the event t-shirt.
Right.
And at Trail Hero, we're a business. We treat the event like a business. We run it like a business. And therefore, we're very fluid. We're not top heavy. When we make a decision, it's final. We're moving on. If we make the wrong decision, okay, fix it.
Yeah.
And let's move on. Like, it's so much easier to conduct business when you act like a business. It's very difficult when the whole thing is driven by committee and their volunteers, and you're pulling teeth to get anybody to do anything. And I think that that's why you see a lot of events that are legacy events that are, maybe they're not even nonprofit, maybe they're for profit, but they're older, they're committee driven, and it's stagnant. You can't move. You can't, as a business, you have a hard time profiting at those kinds of events. The mindset of the events are wrong, in my opinion. When we look at everything that we do at Trail Hero is driven by 2 major factors. The first of all is, how can we positively affect the community? That's always number 1. The second is, what does our customer want? Okay, and this is where a lot of people may take this the wrong way, but the trail riders are not our customer.
No.
Okay, so when you look at that and go, like, I care what the trail riders want, but not because they're my customer, because they're my customer's customer. So now you get some insight. Trail Heroes customers are the companies that are on site, the
Yeah.
companies that are involved, right? Their investment into the event is what drives everything that we do at the event, minus the community outreach programs.
Sure.
So we don't sell those. They are what they are, and it's just us in the industry doing everything we can for them. There's no heavy branding. You can't sell them,
Yeah.
and they're not for purchase. But the trails and the opportunities and everything that happens at the event is there because somebody came to us and said, I would like to pay for this, right?
Yeah.
The rock crawling competition, the trail breaker, the side-by-side shootout, all of our motorsports events are driven by sponsors and companies that want that. And so therefore we do it. The vendor show, if you remember the first year, our vendor show
Yeah.
was 13 vendors on a street next to a park downtown,
Yeah. You
And-
fit all in the park.
and companies are like, well, you're going to need a lot more space. And it's not a big deal. But when we realize that that's our customer, and our job is to provide our customer with their customer,
Yeah.
right? And their customer is a trail rider. So
Yeah,
we want to
that
make
makes
sure
sense.
that their experience is good because we want them to come back so that they could enjoy the companies that are there. The Larry McRae's and all these big names that are at the event, the Tony Pellegrinos of the world. People want to tie in with those owners, right? And events are a great way to do that. You get this really unique experience with the face of the franchise, basically, and you wouldn't get that anywhere else. You can only see him online or on a
Right.
podcast,
Yeah.
or whatever. And now he's on the trail with you. They're spotting you through an obstacle. They're helping fix you. They're recovering you and getting you back to camp or whatever. And that genuine experience is kind of part of what helps drive sales too.
Yeah.
So ultimately, like, that event experience is wildly necessary to all of these companies. And if we do our job right, then we provide our customer with their customer, all these trail riders and the people attending the event, then it keeps going. And more companies get involved, and the event gets bigger, and the opportunities for our trail riders get bigger, and it becomes fun for everyone. And ultimately, nobody wants to be sold or educated. So
Right.
Trail Hero, we try to make it as fun as possible, and then when we get an opportunity, we start to infuse our real narrative, which is providing motorized access for people with special needs and veterans. And we always fall back to our core belief.
Right.
But that's not going to be, we can't pummel people with that message, or else they'll become numb to it and they'll get tired of it. So
Yeah.
we try to make it fun for everyone, and I believe we have. And,
Yeah.
And it's constantly evolving. It's constantly pivoting, and you see that with new sites, new changes every year to Trail Hero. We change everything every year, and it's because we're constantly evolving and trying to refine the wheel, build a better wheel.
Let's talk about some things that I've noticed. Some things I've noticed have changed, and then some things that more or less, I guess everybody would notice if they've been has changed. But just something simple that I noticed has changed, and this has been in the last several years. I don't know the exact year, but one of the things that definitely helped was the inclusion of people that ride side-by-sides. And I would also say on top of that, I don't know an event that includes so many, like you include side-by-sides, you include Jeepers, you include somebody in a Bronco, a Toyota, buggies, rock.
Yeah.
If you got a portal rear steer buggy, or you got a 4Runner with 33-inch tires, everybody has a place at Trail Hero.
Well, it's in the name, right? What's it take to be a hero on the trails? And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you have to have a specific type of vehicle. There's a lot of companies or events that dive into, that brand, and it's wildly important. But it also disenfranchises people. And if you think about the sport as a whole, off-roading as a whole, we are the strongest today than we have ever been in the history of off-roading, if we can get everyone on the same page.
Right.
The land use organizations, the land environmentalists want us to be fractured. They want us to hate the side-by-sides. And to be honest, off-roaders, that means mountain bikes and dirt bikes and quads and horseback riders. We're all on the same team.
Yeah.
And you can see that when like someone like SUA, Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance, who's into closing everything, has literally come out and said at one point on accident, they said the quiet part out loud, and they want public land to be non-traversable by anyone. That includes hikers.
Yeah.
And when you consider that, all these hikers and horseback riders and mountain bikers donate to SUA thinking that they're going to get us out.
Yeah.
When in fact, once they get us out of the way, the next low-hanging fruit is the next user group, right? Until they've gotten everyone out of that land. So off-roaders in general are all people. We're just a motorized portion of that, right? And I think as the motorized portion of that, we've never been larger. Now it comes with some caveats, right? There's always going to be a couple bad apples. We have to educate as we go.
Absolutely.
And whether that's people that are buying a brand new Jeep off the showroom floor or a Bronco, or somebody who's getting a side-by-side, it's our job to educate. Instead of being the Clint Eastwood of get off my lawn, why don't we become the big brother and say, hey, look, we can build this amazing thing and be stronger than we've ever been before, and better funded than we've ever been before if we just put our minds together and get rid of these agencies like SUA and Sierra Club and so on and so on and so on, and which is basically just groups of lawyers litigating, and that's how they make their money. They don't care about the environment at all.
No.
They may have a path, but it's because that path leads to money. And so, I do want it around for generations, but I also want it around for like all types of people and all capabilities. And you're only going to get that if you include everyone and not push them away.
They're always trying to divide people. That's their game. And I find that even with the bad apples, I find that 9 times out of 10, it's all about how you approach it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna correct somebody, then you just have to approach it the right way. Every 1% of the time, it seems like you might get somebody who, for whatever, they're just that way. And I try not to have too big a conflict with those people because I'm not trying to get in a fight with anybody on the trail. But most people are very receptive if you handle it the right way.
Yeah.
So I did want to talk about. There's been some other new projects that have come up in the last few years.
Yeah.
Trail Hero always expanding. One thing that came up, I think it's been 3 or 4 years now, is the Trail Hero Music Festival. What made you want to get into throwing a music festival?
Well, it's actually very similar to affecting the community, right? So here's one of the biggest ways we give back is through the music festival. And so when you look at off-roading in general, we're only going to get so many off-roaders to come into town. They're going to be traveling from all over. It turns out about 5% of the attendees at Trail Hero are local to Washington or Iron County, which is like that Cedar City and St. George area. The 10% of our total attendance is from Utah. And then we bring in people from all over the United States to make this wildly successful. Well, when I look at how the event can grow, I also look at how it could fail. And it doesn't take much for gas prices to go up and all these other things to happen. And if my job is to supply what my customers want, then, and my customers being the companies, then my job is to supply people, right? And I looked at it and said, well, if there's a year where the economy is a little rough, we always have the ability to have people there if we find another way to do that, and that's through music.
Yeah.
Everyone loves music.
Absolutely.
You may not be your type of music, but everyone loves a good party, and everyone loves music. And so, what I didn't realize through this process in building the music festival was the people are very particular over the type of music that they like. I don't even listen to music. Like, I'm the axe murderer with the sound off, driving 10 hours, just thinking and building
Really?
things in my head. I don't listen to music.
That's
but
amazing.
if I were to, like, I went to my first Metallica concert. It was amazing. I love Metallica.
Right.
But I hadn't really listened to them since like high school and college.
Sure.
And so I went last year. It was outstanding. And I just thought, if I can tie in music, it's never a bad thing. We did music at Trail Hero every single year.
There was always the little performances, like
Yeah.
at the fire show pit or something like that. There was always something.
There's
going
always
on.
something there, right? And then we got Monster. And Monster Energy had said, okay, we've got all these assets. Can you use them? And it's part of our budget, right? And so, to rent a stage is normally $100,000, but we get it for free. So if we get a free stage, what am I going to do with that?
I know, right?
And we had music, and I found out the cost of renting a stage by doing music each year and trying to increase the band and the presence. And, if you notice, everything kind of grows incrementally.
Yeah.
And when Monster came to us and said, well, we have the stage and we'd love to be able to use it at your event. Excuse me. We'd love to be able to use it at your event. We said, well, like, okay, we have to find a use for it. And they said, you have to use it at least 3 days of the event. So we said, okay, well, we'll do 3 days of music.
Sure.
Instead of the 1 day of music, we always did music on the last day of the event.
Yeah.
And so the stage being free, it was like, okay, well, let's do this. And this year will be the 5th anniversary of the start of Trail Hero Music Fest.
Gotcha.
And again, the idea was we got the stage for free. We want to bring people. People love music. It's a natural fit, right?
Yeah.
Off-roading and music. You're out on the trail. Somebody's always got the tunes playing, So what's the difference if it's at the vendor show? And, when you put it all together, now we have people from town and elsewhere that are like around town that are traveling short distances to the event that's infusing, into our vendor show and providing people. And it just so happens in the country music sector, and granted, I'm more rock myself,
Yes.
but country is driven by trucks and off-road and
Yes.
that lifestyle.
Very
right?
much so.
And even though rock crawlers are more rock and roll, I think, or punk or whatever, ultimately, country boys drive country trucks.
That's
and
right.
They also buy truck parts. And so if we can get those people at the event, it helps our customer.
I'm one of those people who I actually really like music, and so much so that I've gone through many these different changes throughout my life of what I'd be listening to. The people that I knew in high school probably would not believe that I listened to so much country music now.
Yeah.
But the thing is I grew up on a fruit farm.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up.
Well, and I think the
what I mean?
music choice is defined by the situation, right? For me, at
Yeah.
least. When I'm in Hawaii, I listen to Hawaiian music,
Sure.
or reggae, or when I'm in Mexico, I literally listen to the local music. When
Yeah.
I'm in, like, if I'm rock crawling, rock and roll works, and if I'm driving around the country, I listen to country music.
Yeah.
And it just kind of works for me, and I don't listen to a lot of music, but when I do, that's kind of what I fall back on. And I feel like as you change in your life, like I grew up with punk rock, and I
Yeah.
loved punk rock in high school and rock and roll. and it suited my need for music at the time. And I don't know or understand music these days, the way that,
Me neither.
but I love a good old school rap song too.
Me too.
But the new stuff is really tough for me to follow. But
When I was in high school, I listened to goth, punk, and metal, and that is completely like people that know me now think that's weird, and people know me then think it's weird now. So it's kind of like,
yeah, but you're a different person now.
you know, it's just
And-
like I still like all the sorts of music. It's just kind of, but and then one of my new favorite things is if I'm out rock crawling on the trail sanitarium, cranking sanitarium when you're just finishing the
Metallica,
trail,
right?
is very satisfying.
Yeah, or Unforgiven. When
Yes.
you're doing Unforgiven, you know, I think it's really cool that Simon
Yes.
built those trails, and I think it's really cool that he named them after Metallica and Metallica songs, and that they are absolutely fitting. You know,
Yes.
it's just it's really cool what he's done with a couple of those, and excuse me.
That's okay.
A lot of people look at like Sand Hollow and all the trails we built. When I first started, there's 12 trails on the mountain.
Yeah.
That's it.
I have that map from Trail Hero 1,
Yeah.
and it's got I was telling Felicia the other day, I said, look at the trails now, and then look at the Avenza maps now, the Cardo tracks.
It's wild, right? And I look at the mountain, and I think it's like more like a ski resort, right? Like
Yeah.
you have all these paths down the mountain, and you can jump from run to run to run to run. And the locals, that's typically what we do. We don't drive a whole trail in entirety. We start on Dead Brook, jump on Double Sammy, then finish on 777s, and then go to Milt's Mile, and in one day we'll hit 4 different trails, right?
Yeah.
And never a complete trail. It's just how we curate our own experience,
Right.
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's definitely different than, say, Moab or the Rubicon, where there's only one trail.
Yeah.
And we're very fortunate to our area is open OHV, so we can build new trails. And,
Yeah.
and so I look at it and go, I don't build trails for Trail Hero. I build trails again for my my customers, and that is the city and the county and the tourism board and economic impact. So gives people a reason to come back and try the new trails that we have. And every year I try to do anywhere between 6 to 8 trails that are new on the mountain. This year I'm actually unveiling 15 trails.
Wow.
And I'm super excited about it.
That's a lot of trails. I'm falling behind.
Yeah.
See, I try to run the trails as they are because for me, it's from a trail guide aspect. So it's like, to me, there's nothing worse than being the trail guide and not being able to complete an obstacle or not know where you're going.
Sure.
Because you're leading a whole bunch of people and you take a wrong turn and all of a sudden you got 30 people behind you. Hey, can you please back up?
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going.
But that's also part of the fun behind it. Like I recently led a trail on it. We were going up Honeymoon Trail, which I've done 100 times, and then we were going over Smithsonian Butte and to the Grafton Ghost Town.
Uh-huh.
And it's a 4-rated trail. And as we're trying to bridge from Honeymoon to Smithsonian Butte, it was like I didn't want to get on the freeway, so I wanted to stay off road. And I had this Google Earth image, and I knew it was a route, but I missed the turn. We ended up turning around like 3 times, and I had 47 other vehicles on the trail with me during one of my little monthly trail rides. And if it went smooth, nobody would have remembered.
Yeah.
But you don't remember when everything goes right. You
Yeah.
remember when things go wrong. You
Yeah.
remember fixing your vehicle on the trail or taking the wrong turn and ending up in the spot
Yeah.
you didn't quite belong in. And that's part of what makes this sport great, is that you can ad lib and you can make mistakes, and you actually get these really cool memories from them instead of like everything going right. And do you remember the one time when you drove to top of the world and nothing went wrong and you looked in the valley and it looked beautiful? No, you've done that like 30 times.
Yeah.
And you don't remember anything but, oh yeah, it was a good view. But you can tell me like, oh, I broke my steering box on this one trail, this happened, and then this happened, and it took us this long to get out. That is ingrained in your mind.
Absolutely.
that is what we look for. That's what we yearn for in the off-road industry, is that like chance to MacGyver our way through and fix these wild obstacles that nobody would have imagined being in.
That right there is something I was thinking about that exact thing the other day, because I was thinking about where do I want to go for this year, and I'm building, like I probably have about 10 episodes of content laid out, and I'm working on building them out. And so those are the people I have commitments from. And one of the things I was thinking about was like, how cool would it be at like Easter Jeep Safari to get like a few recognized names around and just throw my best Moab story. My best Moab story.
Sure.
And just talk about that stuff, because that's my favorite stories. Like, I remember those all the time. Breaking something, being wheeling for 13 hours, and then finally getting back to go to bed. And just...
Well, yeah, so think about that, right? Like, we all take the finances that we get and the time off that we get to go build memories, right?
Yeah.
And in somebody's lifetime, maybe a regular person's lifetime, they might have 10 stories, 10 amazing, spectacular stories. Maybe they're near misses, I almost died this, whatever. And over the course of their 80-year lifespan, they might have 10 stories.
Sure.
And not that we're looking for near-death experiences, but when you go to an event, there's so much adventure, there's so much exploring, that you get a lifetime of stories in 1 week.
Yeah.
You know? And that, to me, it's the reason why we stand by the fire and do what I call bench racing. It's kind of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Shoot the shit, talk about what happened, reminisce,
Yeah.
and have fun with it. And I look at the off-road industry in general, that's what we really love, is that campfire, that storytelling, having a drink with our friends, whether it's this kind of cold pop or a different one,
Right.
and just enjoying the moment. And everyone's got their stories, they all want to say them, they're all proud of what they've accomplished with their vehicles, they're proud of the vehicle itself, and we always kind of fall back to that social circle where we're just having fun at the fire, hanging out with our friends, telling all the cool shit that happened to us throughout the year, or throughout the years, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So on that subject of events and stuff got going up, I was just looking at that. I'm going to Easter Jeep Safari, and another event that I'm going to be going to that I'm really excited about, I found out about, was your Camp Trail Hero. Let's talk about a little bit about that.
Yeah, so again, everything I try to do, I look at the industry and I see something missing, right? And as an engineer, I'm used to building the thing or designing the thing to remedy that vacuum that's created by a void, okay? So when I look at events, it's no different, right? We started Trail Hero because there was a vacuum, there was a void, and we needed to fill it, because if we didn't, we were gonna lose something. Camp Trail Hero kind of fills a void as well. And what that is there's so much energy around different companies trying to do their best at marketing, at sponsoring people, at advertising, and just building their business, right? And most of these businesses in the off-road industry, I found, are built by people who are just regular trail riders, and they had an experience, and they said, well, to fix this problem that I came across on the trail, I have to get this part. But nobody in the industry makes that part the way I want the part made, or that I need the part made. So I'm going to build it myself, right?
Yes.
I build it myself, and then there's 6 people on the trail that also need the same part. And you know what? I'm gonna make parts for people now, because they all need this part. And that's kind of where all of these companies kind of derive from.
Absolutely.
Is this void and trying to fill the void. Well, that also means that most of these owners are just like you and I. They're not necessarily engineers. They're not necessarily got the best business acumen. They are not the best marketers. They're guys that, I mean, let's see here. I don't have it. Okay, So a perfect example of this is,
Okay.
let's look at my chapstick,
Okay.
okay? Or my chapstick.
Okay.
This is a tool.
Yep.
I'm a monkey, I don't know what the tool does, right? So I hit it on something, oh, that's not what it does. I chew on it, that doesn't do anything there. And eventually, through monkeying around, I figure out that the lid comes off, and then I figure out that this thing turns, and next thing you know, you're learning about the product and you're building it and whatever. Well, the off-road industry is full of a bunch of monkeys. And we're all trying to figure out to fill the void, to build the part, and ultimately, once we figured that out, we don't know how to sell it. And so what happens is people show up to an event and they here's my part, I'm sitting at a table, and they see everyone walking by, but they don't necessarily know how to sell the product. They're maybe not very good at engaging with people. Maybe they get petrified of being on screen and talking to people or talking to a camera,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so Camp Trail Hero is designed around making that whole experience for the business owner or social media person to be able to kind of capitalize on that, right?
Yeah.
To be comfortable with it, to get more knowledge on how to do it and how to do it properly. So
Yeah.
what we do is for Camp Trail Hero, we bring in people that are kind of like subject matter experts in social media, in marketing, in AI, because that's an emerging
It's huge.
thing, and we can all benefit from it. It's not just cutesy photos and videos and write my email. It's a real bona fide product that can be utilized by our industry, but because we're all monkeys that don't understand it yet,
Yeah.
it's hard to get that. So what we're doing is we bring in these experts that have a chance to talk to our industry on how to build a better wheel, how to create a better experience, whatever those companies may need. It's one thing I see with social media is in these bigger companies is they give the youngest person in their company is their social media marketing person.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's somebody who has no clue about off-road. It's just the youngest person in their company. Maybe it's their daughter. Maybe it has no interest in off-road at all. And so that's not necessarily the best approach, right? You want to bring in somebody who can learn and can utilize it to like how it would sell to the end customer, right? Not just, well, she knows social media, so she's going to be our person or he or whatever.
I was going to say that's probably why they do that. Is it's like usually the younger people are more in tune with what's the latest and greatest in the social media.
On social media, but it doesn't necessarily
They don't have a passion for the product.
Right. And it doesn't transfer to the buyer, to the person who's on the trail. So for us, it's like, okay, you can send your social media person, but we want the owner there too, because the owners are going to be the ones who really understand. Do you need to do something?
Yeah, I can't get, it's almost dead.
Okay. We can stop for a second.
Yeah.
It's not charging.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one doesn't have that zoom lens on it, so it's a little different.
Gotcha.
I got that new one with the zoom lens, and actually I really like it, and I'm just kind of playing with it, but I don't have a bunch of batteries for it. So
Yeah, that's all good.
we'll just switch to this one for now.
Yeah.
So one of the last ones that I wanted to touch in at least that I know of, in the Trail Hero stuff that we haven't talked about, was that Trail Hero Expeditions. That was that game show type atmosphere that you shot this past year, and I believe you're going to be shooting a new season coming up.
Yeah, so we put together this idea, and when I first moved to southern Utah, I just wanted to get out and explore and see southern Utah like I never really did before, and I found the red rocks of Sand Hollow because of Winter 4x4, and even though I frequented the area, I never really put it together, when I was younger, and so I kind of got locked into building trails out at Sand Mountain and never went anywhere else. And when you live there, you enjoy what you have in your backyard, but you look at all the mountains around and you know that there's trails, and you go, one day I'm going to get out there. And I had developed a couple TV shows in the past, whether it be Alaska Off-Road Warriors or History Channel's Truck Night in America, and I wanted to build another TV show, but I didn't want it to be fat and cumbersome like typical network television is. I wanted to be lean and mean, and so to do that, I wanted to also go explore and have a reason to go out and do all these things. And so we built Trail Hero Expeditions based off of doing what we all love to do, which is wheeling and camping and hanging out at the fire with our friends. And in order to make it work for TV show and make it exciting, we brought in like a competition aspect of it as well, which basically lets people understand like who is better prepared as a real, overlander, outdoorsman type mentality. And that's how the kind of event goes and the TV show goes. And, our first season was 6 episodes, 30 minutes an episode. And it went so well. There was over 100 million minutes streamed for the first original 6 airings, which equates to about 430,000 homes viewing. And when you look at those numbers, you go, wow, that's wildly successful for a live television show. That's not on demand. That's just all viewers are live.
Yeah.
And so I look at that and I go, okay, how can we build off that? The network comes back and goes, this is so successful. We want to give you 6-hour-long episodes, which will do the show more justice because we really cut a lot of stuff out of the first season. And so we're really excited about the growth of the show. At the same time, we're also looking at, like, as an industry, how we can build more. But, the idea of camping and hanging out with your friends and going off-roading, like that's what we all dream of doing. That's what we do. And so tying that into a television show just made it the right thing, and we're great timing for it, so it worked out.
Cool. Wonderful.
We're excited for season 2. It's 600 miles, 5 days, 4 nights, 4 camps. And then 12 vehicles kind of navigating all that terrain, and I'd say probably about 98% of it's off-road. So not much pavement in it.
No,
it's a lot of fun.
Not at all. Well, I know that everybody that I know that has watched it and we discussed it, everybody seemed to really get a kick out of it. And I actually knew a couple people that had participated in it, and so they had a blast doing it. So that's cool.
So when we opened up season 2, we had season 1 we had about 200 applicants. And we didn't do a lot of social media around it, and you're not really supposed to in TV. You kind of just do enough. And then season 2, we opened up applications, and it went to, we had over 600 applicants for the show. We narrowed that down to 40. That's where we're at right now in the process. And of the 40, we can take 12 onto the show.
Wow.
And so the people that were in season 1 had such a good time that the majority of them are coming back, but they're not going to be on the show. They're going to be mentors and camp setup and chase teams and all these this other part of the show without being on camera.
Right.
But they're going to use their experiences to help the new teams that are going to be on the show.
Very good.
And I'm really excited to see how it comes out. It's a whole new route. Nobody's ever been on the route. It's all new challenges, and then also because of that, all new camps as well. So, going to be a great season.
Nice. Okay, well, I think we've covered a lot of Trail Hero topics. I think that it's been very, very informative. There is some fun stories I wanted to kind of touch on before you head out today.
Sure.
Because I had a secret agent send me some topics that might be fun to talk about.
My wife.
Yes. So, Trail Hero Brandi.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Cardboard Kitty, what is that story?
So as a kid hanging out at the house in Northern California, me and my friends would get out of school or get off of playing ball or whatever we were doing at the time. And my friend Max kind of lived up on a hill. And Cold Springs Road, if you're familiar with Placerville, California, is this real windy road, and it's all downhill. And we would get a kick out of creating a black cat out of cardboard. We cut it out, paint it black, use gum wrappers for eyes, prop it up with some sticks on this really windy downhill. And at night, cars would be going way too fast, and this was our way of like controlling traffic. They'd come down the hill real fast, and they'd see the cat, they'd slam on the brakes and swerve, and we'd laugh our butts off. And sometimes the cat would get run over, and then the sticks behind it would act like broken bones. And the people, I'm sure, would feel really terrible. But we were kids. We didn't care. It was hilarious. And what we were trying to accomplish is that people just slowed down on our freaking road, right?
Right.
And ultimately, it probably wasn't the best thing to do, but it sure was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The craziest part about this, though, is we did this at like, you know, I moved back to Northern California when I was 17 and or 16, and we kind of did this for a little bit there, and then I, you know, move along with life, go to college, go to do all these rock crawling things, come back home for Thanksgiving, and I'm hanging out at my buddy Max's house, and he's like, you know what we should do? This is probably a decade later. He goes, we should do a cardboard kitty. And so there's probably 30 people at his house hanging out. We get out there, we're all, you know, kind of drunk and building this cardboard cat, and we put it all up, and we're hiding behind bushes, grown-ass people, watching vehicles come down, swerve, whatever, laughing, having a great time, and one person hits it and stops, and then backs up and pulls down the driveway that we're all hiding in. And mind you, there's 30 26-year-olds, 27-year-olds out there, and we're like, shit, run! It's like revert back to being 17 years old. People are diving into, you know, blackberry bushes and into poison oak and underneath drainage culverts, hiding from this guy, and he gets out, you kids, and we're laughing, having a great time, and yeah, that's cardboard kitty for you. So that's kind of the stupid stuff we did back then.
That's beautiful.
All to get people to slow down, you know.
I had no idea where that was going, and I was
Yeah.
trying to think of it earlier today, and I'm sitting there going, I couldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
cardboard kitty. Stupid games.
How did you finish the trail with one sock?
Oh, I love my wife. So, I'm always kind of trying to get out and build new trails, and oftentimes you find yourself in these areas that are very primitive. There's no amenities, you know, and even on Sand Mountain where there's toilets kind of scattered throughout the mountain, sometimes there isn't one. And I get into the middle of this new trail that will remain unnamed at this point.
Okay.
And I find out that, well, I got to use the restroom. You know, it's time for the morning passage. And I look in the rig and I realize I don't have any toilet paper, right? So there's two options,
Right.
in my opinion, or three options. You can let it ride and not do anything with it, and meaning you do your dookie and don't wipe up, and that becomes rough, especially if you're going to be out there for the whole day. You can rip a sleeve off, but then you ruin a shirt, right? And I had a really cool Yukon shirt on. I didn't want to rip the sleeve off of it.
Makes sense.
And so I looked at my sock for the answer, and I thought, well, it's just a sock.
Just sock.
And I was able to remedy my situation with one sock, luckily. And so if you find socks randomly on the mountain, you typically know why. And don't pick them up with your hands.
Use gloves.
Use gloves. But my sock ended up in the trash, and the trash got emptied, whatever. But when I showed up at home, my wife asked me, you know, why is it that you're missing a sock? And I go, well, she obviously doesn't know much about off-road, because if you're missing a sock after a long trip, it's because you didn't show up with dookie wipes.
Right.
And everyone typically knows what that means, sock or sleeve. And
I think
so,
the sock is the right choice. I support that decision.
yeah, I was not gonna let it go raw. There's no way.
No.
And
no, not
and then
about
I
that.
wanted to keep my shirt.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I still had the trail to do, and my friends were out there with me. So if I showed up with a sleeve ripped off my shirt, they'd all know.
Right.
You know? So I use a sock.
Okay. All right, last one. How did you give Brandi a black eye?
Oh. Okay, so we started dating, and we kind of started dating a little bit before Trail Hero, like a week before Trail Hero, 2 weeks before Trail Hero. And great time, having an amazing time. We start getting a little bit more intense with our dating, and if we go do the Hammers event, it's only because we get paid to go. Because to be honest, when Sand Hall is in your backyard, there is no reason to leave. It's heaven, right?
Yeah,
and
I agree.
to be honest, the shit show of the King of the Hammers race is the last place I want to be. But when you're paid to go, you're kind of obligated. And so both Brandi and I were paid to be at Hammers that year. She with her, the hunt that she did, and then me to represent BF Goodrich and Monster Energy and a couple other brands. So we're down there, we're having a great time. I'm in my YJ, affectionately known as Red, and we go, hey, I've raced King of the Hammers 4 times. I've finished every time. I helped open Chocolate Thunder as a trail back way back in the day, and with Michael Hendricks and John James and Dave Cole and Becca Webster and Ben Napier, and there's a thing there. And so anyway, I've driven this trail plenty of times, and I know the lines to get up it. So I'm like, let's go. Like, no big deal. So we load Brandi in the back seat and one of her sponsors in the front seat, and we go to work our way up Chocolate Thunder during King of the Hammers week, which we all know how that goes.
Yeah.
I pull into the bottom of it in high range, so I'm shifting into low range, and I go to drive up over the first rock, and it's acting like it's not shifted into first gear. Like it's kind of strenuous to get over a simple rock. And I don't think much about it. I shift in that car. All the gears were selected by literally a button. So I put the button in the first gear. Still having a hard time, but we get over the rock and off we go. And we get into the traffic, and there's the left line, which is the easy line, and where everyone has a hard time with, and that's full of people rolled and stuff. And the right line is the line that is like where you're passing everyone, and that's the race line. And I look at that and I go, I've driven that line 30 times. I can do it. No big deal.
Sure.
So I get up in there, and the transmission's struggling a little bit. I get up onto a spot, and where I really need first gear. I need to be able to crawl this, and if I don't, I'm going to slide and roll over into a hole. And that's what I did. I couldn't get the vehicle into first gear. I tried to bump through it. I bumped wrong, slid, and rolled into a hole. And in the process of it, all the gear comes out, kind of a yard sale.
Yeah, I've been there.
I used to shove my tool bags underneath the seats.
Yeah.
And when I rolled over, weight gets just distributed. The weight of the person sitting on the seat isn't holding the tool bag into place because we're upside down.
Yeah.
And that tool bag came out and actually hit Brandi in the face. Gave her a black eye.
Oh.
And so we're upside down. She didn't even think about it. I didn't think about it. We get her out of the vehicle. Her sponsor's in the passenger seat. He's about 350 pounds or so. And we're dangling literally upside down. And I'm trying to get him. He'd never unbuckled being upside down.
Yeah.
I've rolled over at this point 100 times.
It's interesting because some people have been there and they know, but if you don't know, then you don't know.
So I get him out of the seat. We get him onto flat, stable ground. Pack up the vehicle, get it recovered, move on into camp. Right. Well, now we're 2 days later, and she's like, "Oh man, my eye is sore." And I look at it, and she's got a big shiner underneath it. Holy smokes! And we figure out it was a tool bag. Well, she had been making fun of me for being the tool bag that rolled over and then the tool bag hitting her. And when she does her hunt, when she gives out a bunch of prizes, well, I'm the MC for that. So she's making fun of me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call her Black Eye Brandi when I reference her. So I go, next up is Black Eye Brandi. Come on over here and, give away this product. And everyone's laughing. Everyone knows her as Black Eye Brandi now. And that's still a name that she gets to this day when people were there and know. And so every once in a while she likes to throw that out there so that I have to tell the story about how the first time that she rode off-road with me, I rolled her over. It was at Hammers in Chocolate Thunder. And I'm the reason why she got a black eye.
I remember when you rolled but I like knowing the story now
Yeah.
so much better. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up with a couple of quick questions that I'm kind of asking everybody some quick questions at the end.
Sure.
You can say it's a quick answer, or if you don't want to answer, you can pass, but they're not really that bad. What's your favorite tire?
BF Goodrich.
Favorite locker?
The one that I designed.
There you go.
And nobody knows.
Pineapple on pizza?
Absolutely not.
There you go. You're the first one to strike it down so far.
It's terrible.
That's
It's
okay,
a
though.
shame to pizza that people would do that. It's unfathomable why they would even consider it.
Whiskey or beer?
Whiskey.
Okay. That's
A good smoked whiskey on ice.
I like it. I like it. Spare tire, yes or no? If you're going out.
It depends on what you're doing.
Like it. Favorite axle?
Yukon.
Okay. Favorite Monster flavor?
Today happens to be the Ultra Sunrise, but there's just any of the zeros work
Depends
for me.
depends on which zero you pick up that morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Favorite thing to do outside of off-roading?
Support my family, spend time with my wife and kids.
Wonderful. Favorite transmission?
One that my buddy Tim from V8 Swap Shop built.
Good choice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be going to see Tim at V8 Swap Shop very soon. So
Yeah, he's
that'll be
built
fun.
all my transmissions the last couple of years, and they're always good ones, so it doesn't really matter what they are.
Okay, and last one, if you're starting to build a platform and you can use whatever you want, you can it can be something fab, something from scratch, or a branded vehicle, what are you going to start with? If you're starting something new this year.
It's whatever I put my mind to. So that's where I land the most. I build vehicles, and
Yeah.
I enjoy pushing the sport and testing new products that are yet to be in the industry on those vehicles. That's why we have the rigs that we do, the buggy, the red, the new JK that I've got. Everything is built based on being a test bed for new products, which is something that people don't understand we're a part of, but it's whatever we put our minds to.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up. If somebody wanted to get involved with Trail Hero, participate in a Trail Hero event, or anything related to Trail Hero, how do they get there?
Yeah, so social media is key. You can Facebook or Instagram Trail Hero pretty easily. If you wanted to check out something new that we have, trailherotv.com is a new streaming platform that we have that will have live and on-demand content. So if you wanted to watch Trail Hero X like we talked about earlier, you can watch that now on demand or live on trailherotv.com. And that will develop a little bit more as we go, but that's going to be a wild thing for our industry as we get moving on it. And otherwise, just reach out to us, whether it's on our website, thetrailhero.com. You want to volunteer or contact us for anything, we'd love to have your help in support of the event or anything else that we're doing.
Great. All right. Well, thanks for coming by. I appreciate your time. And we'll catch you on the next time. Don't forget to share, like, comment, subscribe, and smash that notification bell.